All right, so up first we have our budget meeting, and that's it. All right, so Crystal, take it away.
See, good evening, council members and citizens of Destin. So this evening, we're going to start with the millage rate
Crystal,
ordinance. Yes.
can we do the invocation first?
Okay, sorry about that. All right, we'll start from the very top then and start with invocation. Appreciate that. Yeah, I know. Thank you for being here.
Well, Father, you know that I don't like buttermilk, and you know that I don't like grease on my teeth and flour on the floor. But when you put all those ingredients together, they make some mighty fine biscuits. So tonight, as they plan on this budget, Lord, there's a lot of ingredients. And Lord, we need to learn that blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. And I pray for wisdom for each and every one that's a part of this. Lord, without unity, no organization can survive. And so, Lord, we pray for that. And not just the council and the people, but every employee here that has a part. Lord, it takes everybody to be a team effort. So, Lord, again, we just pray for that, for unity for this group tonight. And again, we thank you for their service. And we just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Councilwoman?
Please join me with your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, I appreciate everyone bearing with me. I thought we had a meeting before the meeting. Yeah. All right, well, welcome to a Thursday City Council meeting, and at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Before we do that,
You want to change something?
I'd like to make a change.
Okay.
I believe I would like to ask if we could pull item 4A and push it to the next meeting. I'd like to make that request, if I can do that under that city manager report section.
Okay, so just pull it? I'll second that. Okay. Anyone else have any modifications? Seeing none and have the second. All right, I'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it, 3A tabled. All right. 4A, sorry, 4A. Got to get back into this mode, my bad. All right, up first, I know we've got a timeline on me. Up first, we got a presentation with artificial turf permitting. So just your name and address, and the floor is yours.
Marcy Gregg, owner of Forever Lawn Emerald Coast. Address is 210 Tilden Street Northwest, Fort Walton Beach. Am I allowed to use this mic? Okay.
Turn that one off, yep.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Awesome. All right. Screen.
Pull up the agenda packet, it's in there.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
We have it right here in front of us. We know it's here.
I don't know that I have it memorized, though. I know what I'm going to say. I still need my prompts, though. Right. High school, yeah. Thanks. Take them off.
Then it starts on page 5 of the,
There we go.
and in color.
Thank you. Okay, so again, my name is Marcy. I'm a local business owner. My husband and I own Forever Lawn Emerald Coast, and I'd like to just kind of talk a little more about the artificial turf discussion and what it's been working with permits and the stormwater management system. So, next slide. So the biggest question at hand at the moment is, are permits required? That is the big discussion point and the disagreement. According to the City of Destin's Land Development Code, Section 10.03.02, Section I, there are exclusions. Some of that is a new single-family residence or duplex dwelling, as well as addition of impervious surface less than 250 square foot. There is no listed exemptions for pervious to pervious changes, such as sod to sod or changing a flower bed to grass. And below there, that is that section. Next slide, please. So that begs to question, is artificial turf pervious or impervious? The majority of artificial turf products across the board and all brands are made to be pervious. Personally speaking, the one that we use most in residential settings is our Forever Lawn Select HD. That one has a permeable rating of 41.5 inches per hour. Okay, and that's the testing results for it. Next slide. But all of that is only as good as what's underneath of it. Similar to any building, high-rise, residential family dwelling, it's only as good as its foundation, right? So same is true with turf. If we put something underneath of it that is impervious, that is more important than a pervious turf. Residential places, because we are in a coastal area, us at Forever Lawn Emerald Coast, we have been doing a washed, clean limestone for all of our pervious turfs. This not only allows for a good compaction rate to be suitable for walking on, but also permeability and natural filtration of the stormwater. Next slide. Limestone, can it be used as a stormwater management tool? According to university studies, limestone proves to be a simple, reliable, and cheap process for removal of nitrates from the groundwater. I've also found other studies that say the same thing for phosphates, as well as particulates and light debris. Next slide. So, all of these parts together, can we use artificial turf systems in stormwater management? According to the Synthetic Turf Council and the Princeton University Studies Stormwater Considerations and Opportunities with Synthetic Turf, presentation dated October 18th of last year, it's not only possible to utilize turf as a pervious surface, but it is able to be, the subsurface area can be designed to be used as subsurface storage to manage runoff from additional adjacent impervious surfaces. So multiple functions there. Next slide. So all of these great details, why does it matter? Recently, let me back up. We've been in business for about 7.5 years, and we've not been pulling permits for artificial turf installations in residential spaces. It's never been needed. That all changed May of this year. We were issued a stop work order, and were asked to get permits. This process is a very gray area. There is no written process, no guidelines. Compass is not set up to do this. We have to use a permit that doesn't really apply, and there's no documents supporting it. This has caused a ton of project delays, residential stressors, as well as loss of income and frustrations due to just unclear processing guidelines. A couple weeks ago, during the city council meeting, the city engineer made mention of what our neighbors are doing. As a local business, I can say at this time, there is no city or county that we function in, which is Pensacola through Tallahassee, that is requesting or requiring any permitting for either residential or commercial spaces when we do artificial turf. There was a note on clarification of terminology in local land development codes and ordinances. Those were in those codes and ordinances. The clarifications were on storm management details. However, all of those do list exceptions for single-family residences. Large scale, other towns are discussing these same things. It's a very long process. I think it's dead, it's red. Stand up, see if I can see. My apologies. Ooh, that's loud. So Atlantic Beach City, it's just really slow process. We have projects that are open long periods of time without that inspection following through. Next slide. So all of these things I bring to you just asking as a local business owner alongside local residents, how do we proceed from here? There's no clear guidelines. We would love some clarification.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Does anyone from the council have any questions?
No, yeah. Thank you for coming, Miss Marcy. And I believe you're going to go to the LPA meeting?
Yes.
Which is next week or so? Or?
Well, I wanted to do this one first
Right.
because we overlapped.
Yeah.
So wanted to get this one done, and then
Okay.
I'm going to call them tomorrow morning, see when I can get on their agenda.
Right. And then I know that it's ongoing, and you'll go there, and maybe they'll come back to us,
Yep.
I guess, to have decision-making time. So
Exactly.
I appreciate your time, and as a owner and things like that, to come do this, and also work with the staff on possibly helping some of these changes. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Councilman Destin.
And I'm trying to figure out where do we go from here? You're going to LPA. In the meantime, are you suspended from operating for lack of permits?
We have permits that are not approved yet. As we're a business, we keep getting new projects. The permit process, again, is very unclear and it's lengthy. So by the time we put them in, filters back around, we're talking a couple weeks, months in between the time that we've submitted for permit to the time that we actually may get it.
Staff, you have an opinion on how you're proceeding to issue the permits?
I am not aware of any permits that are being held up right now. You can get with me afterwards if you like, and we can write down which permits are being held up. But as of right now, we're approving everything until this gets figured out.
In a timely fashion, how long does it take generally?
I believe she's submitting for what, clearing and grading fill permit? Yeah. I'm not sure how long that's taken, a week or two, it should be.
2 weeks at minimum is the stated timeline on the website, and according to the last round that we went through, it took the full 2 weeks.
Okay, well, that's probably about standard operation procedure for everything we do now. I don't think permits go faster than 2 weeks generally, but I hope that as you move forward through this process, they will facilitate a system that's going to give you, timely permits and something simple that you can go through, and something simple that they know what they're supposed to be doing also.
Agreed.
It was an interesting presentation about the fact that as long as you put the proper pervious materials under it, it's probably going to function as well or maybe even better than some of the other stormwater system, depending on how you do it. But the same token, they need to know what they're looking for, and so they can understand what their job is too. So we need to expedite and get this one behind us.
Awesome. Councilman Bagby.
Could you send us 3 properties where you've installed the most frequently installed turf?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Do you want old ones or new ones?
Your
Little
pick.
both?
Yeah, a little both. I also would like one where you're currently installing, but you haven't laid the turf. It can be in Walton County. I live on the far
We're not
eastern
doing
end of
anything
the
right now
city.
in Destin, so
Yeah.
I don't
No.
have anything. But I can
That's
do
a-
Walton County for
Yeah,
sure.
sure, okay.
Yeah.
My issue is I don't have a problem with it. Turf is permeable. I got that. It perks. It's, as you discussed, what's underneath it. So I want to see before the turf goes down on a project, because you can compact that limestone to where it is impermeable, completely impermeable. In fact, people drive on limestone all the time. So I just want to see what compaction y'all use, and go out there with my little cup of water and watch it either sit there or watch it disappear just like that.
You can bring a bucket.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
I've done perk tests before, so it's not, because, these stadiums that have artificial turf, some of these pro stadiums or soccer stadiums or whatever, it rains 4 inches and the water's gone in an hour because they have these giant suction, which I know none of these residential areas have,
Right.
and it just sucks the water out of that field, and you can play on it in an hour after, 50-year rain. So I just want to see what y'all are putting in, and I just want to make sure, because it is about the water. It's not about whether it's artificial or natural or whatever. Does it perk? And that's my question. I just want to see it. Thanks.
Councilwoman Aber.
I just want to thank you for coming to present. I look forward to hopefully getting everything squared away, and I'll be happy to see the visions of what you've left, and done in other areas, so that we can see that it'd be a great fit for us as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, I got nothing else, so thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, so at this time, I will open up the public comments. You have 3 minutes at the mic, name and address, and the floor is yours. So I'll just start from my right, y'all's left. If anyone wants to come up. Middle.
Okay, they just want to check, man, you might get 7 o'clock.
All right, anyone over here? No public comments. All right, going once, twice, sold. All right, moving right along. Consent agenda. Do I have a
Motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Any further discussions? Seeing none on the board, call on the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. City manager.
Thanks, sir. Just a few announcements. Cities of Destin's contract with Waste Management does allow for an annual rate adjustment related to the Consumer Price Index. And so this year's increase is at 5.41%, which comes out to approximately $4.50 per quarter for residential service. Also, the resurfacing of Vintage Circle and Vintage Court is scheduled to begin on the 12th of September. And the resurfacing of the Destin Community Center parking lot is scheduled to occur on September the 18th. Our very own Dr. Tamara Young completed 29 hours of training this last week at the National Information Officers Association Conference in Tennessee. So, congratulations. And HR has announced that we are moving 3 candidates to the next round of interviews for the Assistant City Manager position. I think those are scheduled for early next week. And we have all the Crosstown Connector properties now in our possession. And the next step is to secure demolition and get those properties cleared and ready for construction. We have a few new hires I want to introduce. Mr. Jason Williams is our new systems and specialist in IT, and Mr. Ross Haynes, who is an Army vet and retired law enforcement, has joined our code compliance department. So welcome to both of them. And a few quick reminders as the city's open house will be Wednesday, October the 25th at the Destin Community Center with the theme of Music to Our Ears, and we encourage all of our partners who would like to participate to contact City Hall, and we will get them a table there so they can be a part of it. Also, the city's Christmas parade is scheduled for Saturday, the 9th of December, and this year's theme is Christmas Vacation, and we are looking forward to another good parade. And that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, Mr. Gonzuzzi, we're pushing A. 4A is what we're pushed?
Yes.
All right, so, Ray, do we need this 15-minute bathroom break that you've largely bolded on the top of my agenda? All right, everyone's good on the bathroom break? All right, so at this point, we'll start the public hearings. Kim, take it away.
Ordinance 2313 CN, an ordinance of the City of Destin of Okaloosa County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for the City of Destin for fiscal year 2024 and providing for an effective date.
All right, seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, if you guys want to speak on this topic specifically, this is your time to do so. So at this point, we have open comments. Seeing none, I'll close the public comments.
Okay, so just for the record, we're required by state law to announce that the fiscal year 2024 operating millage rate for the city of Destin is 1.6150 mils, which is more than the rolled back rate of 1.4553 mils by 10.97%. Crystal?
Thank you, Kim. So yes, we're keeping the millage rate at 1.6150, which was established back in October of 2016, and we're staying with that rate. It is an effective tax increase of 10.97%. Based on the increase in property values. I'd just like to remind people, if your parcel is homesteaded, then the property appraiser will not increase the taxable value any more than 3% per year. So at keeping the millage rate at 1.615, we'll bring in approximately $12.8 million to the city of Destin. We're allowed to budget 95% of that. $1 million will go into our general fund, and the remaining balance will go into our 2 CRA districts. With that, I'm available for any questions.
All right,
And then we
Councilman
have a
Bagley.
recommended motion. Go ahead.
Move that the council adopt ordinance 23-13-CN on first reading, adopting a proposed tax year 2023 millage rate of 1.6150 mils, which is more than the rollback rate of 1.4553 by 10.97%. The second reading will take place at public hearing number 2 on September 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Annex.
I'll second that.
All right, first and a second. Any?
Clarification, this is 23 or
24.
24?
24 millage rate. It is.
Yes.
You're right.
All right, Councilman Guile.
Crystal, I just have a quick question for you. When's the last time we've voted to increase the millage rate here in Destin? How long has it been at this 1.615?
Sorry, this was the last increase, and this was done in 2016.
2016?
I have some data here. I think I have oh, hold on a second.
Okay. So if we did, let's say we increased the millage rate by 1/10, how would that impact the average homeowner in Destin?
So the average homeowner would pay an additional $33 for the year.
Per year, $33 per year?
Correct, and that would bring in approximately $750,000 to the city, which is very significant.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that information, Crystal.
All right, I appreciate you bringing that up. All right, any further discussions? Seeing none, I'm calling the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. I was going to vote no.
City Clerk, you need to update the voting. Has come to the meeting.
Johnny wants an increase.
Double our tax.
Would it be easier for me to just?
We'll call the vote. I'll just call the vote again.
Yeah.
All right, calling the vote for the same 5A. All right, ayes have it, still moved.
Johnny's clear.
All right, Kim, 5B.
This is first reading of ordinance 2314 CN, an ordinance of the City of Destin making appropriations for certain expenditures, expenses, capital improvements, and certain indebtedness of the City of Destin, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, and providing for an effective date.
And seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, if anyone has any comments to make on this specific item, this is your time to do so. Seeing none, we'll close the public comments, and we'll entertain a motion.
I move that the council adopt the ordinance 23-14-CN on first reading to provide for a balanced budget for fiscal year 2024. The second reading will take place at public hearing number 2 on September 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Annex.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussions? Councilman Destin.
Just a point of clarification, unlike the regular ordinance process where if you change things on second reading, it goes back to first reading, that doesn't apply to a budget, does it?
Correct.
So we can change things at the second hearing without having to start over.
Correct.
All right.
Hopefully not at midnight. Councilman Destin, or Bagby. Yeah, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I won't belabor all my questions. I'm going to meet with Crystal separately, but I do want to know, or I do want to make sure y'all know a couple of things. You saw a major increase in the city council budget. That is not that of that $160,000 increase, only $90,000 is for the health benefits. The other increase is for Ms. Crystal.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the
Oh.
details.
All of Bobby's trips.
All of Bobby's, no, Bobby should take a trip. As long as he's getting educated, I don't care how many trips he takes.
Listen, I'm making ideas up and going around the city.
Go to the League
going
of
around the
Cities.
state. Yeah.
Sam Severs used to be.
Yeah, I'm glad.
She didn't miss a League of Cities meeting.
Yes, so there's an additional, there is $50,000 in contingency.
For council
council
contingency.
contingency,
Yeah.
which is the same as last year.
Yep.
Professional services, $50,000 was set aside at a council request for
Right.
guiding certain discussions. And yes,
No, that's good.
that's it.
And then in the city managers, you'll see a big increase, and that is for the 50th anniversary that Tamara asked to be put in, right?
40th?
That's correct.
40th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 40th anniversary, as
40th.
well
Oh,
as
my.
professional services for consulting and not additional staff in the department.
Yeah. So, and then the only other thing, to Mr. Destin's point, I would like for you to think about, I'm still thinking about, but the merit increases, 4% just seems extraordinarily, 3%, because then you can have 1 if you're doing a good job, 2 if you're doing a very good job, and 3 if you're doing a great job. But I will decide on second reading whether or not to make that a motion.
All right, well, I'm glad my vacations aren't breaking the bank for everyone. All right, no further discussion. I will call the vote on 5B. Ayes have it, so moved. Ms. Kopp.
This is ordinance number 2311, CC, an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida, amending Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances, Section 1340, Schedule of Fees, to reflect that the schedule of business tax receipt fees are currently set forth in the city's fee schedule resolution, and as such shall be removed from the Code of Ordinances, providing for findings of fact, providing for incorporation into the Code of Ordinances, providing for conflicting provisions, severability, and an effective date. This is second reading.
All right, and seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, if anyone has comments on this specific issue, this is your time to do so. Seeing none, I will close the public comments and entertain a motion. Don't let Councilman Bagby have to read it all again.
I'll make the motion.
got it.
Move the city council approve ordinance 2311-CC on second reading.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussions? Seeing none, calling the vote. Ayes have it unanimously, so moved. Are we really at 6 already? 6 at 6, look at that. Let's just all take a moment of silence on that one. All right, Councilman Sweetser. Good to go. Councilman Guile.
I have a couple things.
Just turn your button on, you can talk away.
I have a couple things.
There you go.
Now that my button's on. I would like to get the council permission to form like a, not a workshop necessarily, but a community involvement type shop. We have a short-term rental impact committee. During that impact committee, it seems like we're almost predominantly taking up that time while they discuss the code compliance issues in the city versus focusing on the task at hand. I think that, and I've already spoken with Troy about this, and he thinks it would be a good idea as well, that we give the community a chance to actually meet and talk to the new code compliance and get their direction moving forward. I think there's been a pretty significant change, and we can't be related off the past. We need to move forward. I don't necessarily believe it has to be a workshop, but if you feel it needs to be a workshop, we can go that way. But I would like to at least form something officially through staff where they get that opportunity.
Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, what is, somebody refresh my memory, probably Ray. What is the task at hand for the short-term rental committee? Because they're not going to make any recommendations or anything to us, so,
We're
you know, what
supposed to
is their?
provide you a report of the impact, both positive and negative, short-term rentals.
Okay.
And that's
And
what,
then we were going to take that report to you and let you decide if you wanted to forward it to the state legislature and the League of Cities, so that they could decide if they wanted to, lobby on our behalf or make some changes to legislation to give us some more ability to deal with any impacts.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that, because we know the direction that's gone the last 3 years with the legislature, but, yeah, so what you're asking is basically for a workshop for a code compliance, come meet the code compliance department?
Somewhat understand his direction and then be able to have their voice with code compliance directly, something that's specifically dedicated to the community and code compliance.
Okay, so city manager, is there anything that prohibits you and the PIO from advertising a come meet our code compliance staff day, evening, or whatever? You don't need a workshop, you can just advertise a meeting, right?
That's right, we can make that happen.
Okay. Does that meet the requirement?
That's all I asked for. Okay. Was just a chance for the community to actually meet their code compliance.
Councilman Destin?
My only question is, do you anticipate council being in on this, listening?
That's why I didn't think it needed to necessarily be a workshop. I don't think there's going to be any ordinance or anything that's going to be determined from this. But if we want to be there so that we can be present and educated on what the community concerns are and what code compliance future is, we have that opportunity. I don't think it should be mandatory, though.
You can have it as a community meeting and just advertise that 2 or more council members may be present.
Yep, that was going to be my recommendation. Just advertise it as
Do
such.
you think that'll cover the sunshine?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay.
and in addition, also, we may, 2 or more members of the impact of the short-term rental impact committee may attend also.
Because they're in sunshine.
And they're under sunshine, so we
Yeah.
have to advertise it both ways.
Well, it's either, I mean, they're invited as members of the citizenry, of the public, but it's not a short-term rental impact meeting. I don't want, it's not their meeting. It's the code enforcement officer's meeting and Lance's meeting. I just want to make sure we're all in agreement on that, because, sometimes these workshops get hijacked and it's like, what the heck was? Not what I came for. Yeah, that's not what I came for. It's kind of like what is the bottom line for the short-term rental committee?
Yeah, I think it would probably be proper to make a motion directing the city manager to do that. After all, that's the way this council takes action.
Yeah.
Or if you'll make the motion, I'll second it, and we'll direct the city manager to set up that meeting in a timely fashion.
I make the motion for what Dewey just said.
All right.
I think that's to direct the city manager to set up a meeting that will be sunshine law compliant for the citizens to meet and talk to our code enforcement department, and we can go and listen if we would so like.
Great.
Kyle, you want to second that? Yeah.
I second it.
Okay. All right. Calling the vote. All right. Ayes have it. So moved. Anything else?
One more thing.
There you go.
I've been getting a lot of calls and stopped in the public lately, and when things don't seem to be going the way, or the conversations go the way of that individual, one thing that I'm getting accused of more than anything is listening to the squeaky wheels. I want to make a quick clarification. If you're somebody that can't take the time to come here and speak with us, it's not that I'm listening to the squeaky wheels, but people like John Stevens that dedicate their time continuously and volunteer their assets. If he's talking to me in these meetings, I know he's dedicated time, he's taking this serious, he's invested in it, he's offering his services for water sampling, everything else he needs to do. Marcy Bell, if I asked her, gave her a laptop and gave her 30 minutes, she could show me an FBI order for the assassination of whomever within 30 minutes. She's amazing at research, and she spends that time to do that. It's not necessarily that I'm listening to the squeaky wheel, and I don't think anybody up here listens to the squeaky wheel, but these are the people that are invested in the community, and they're the ones that are around us the most, and we believe that they're slightly more educated on the situation as they're in the committees that are help developing and help educating us on the path the community wants to go. So I just wanted to, thank all the individuals, Guy Tadlock, John Stevens, Marcy Bell, and so many others that volunteer to be part of these committees and understand that it's not favoritism, it's just that we recognize they've dedicated so much to the community and we appreciate it.
Well said. That's it. Awesome. I appreciate that. All right, Councilman Destin.
I don't have anything in particular, except for I think probably I can have a question under Councilman Schmidt's 401 Beach Drive, and I'll just tie it into that when he gets to that.
I had a feeling. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'm waiting for the 401 Beach Drive.
All right, Councilwoman Neighbor.
I'll do the same thing. I'll wait until we hear the conversation. We've got lots of input, so we'll let it roll from Kevin.
Councilman King.
Nothing, thanks.
And we're skipping Kevin. All right, Kevin, go ahead. Councilman Schmidt.
There's a few people that wanted to come speak on this item that are not
think we're
quite
all
here yet
surprised at the
because
time.
we were surprised at how quickly this meeting has progressed, I think. But
You're welcome.
maybe Kevin can introduce it.
You want to move on with it? Yeah, well, I think there was just some confusion about 5:30 versus 6. Sorry, Mr. Bagby. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, sir. So yes, 401 Beach Drive, information gathering. Sounds like you guys all want to talk. Do you want to, let me just spitball some things that we could talk about and I could throw a motion later, or would you like me to kick off a motion immediately, Mr. Bagby? Okay, background here is that maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, a sign went up and somebody reached out about 7+ acres being for sale near Destin Elementary School. And I believe not just maybe a week or so before that happened, there was even comments made up here when we were talking about other properties in the city of Destin. I think we made some laughing jokes about, some elder members here that were wish some other properties we could have gotten in the past and whatnot. And then lo and behold, a sign comes up. And rather than, I should try to do things the right way, because I think transparency is very important to the city, that we wanted to try to get this on the agenda to figure out if we can buy it. Can we buy it? Can we work with the school board to buy it? Can we work with another stakeholder to buy it? Can we work with public citizens to buy it? How can we do something as a city council for the city of Destin to buy 7+ acres that's adjoining to a public schools property right now? The same acreages that have been talked about for over 20 years or more, that specific parcel, wishing that we would have been able to buy it in the past. That opportunity is knocking on our doorsteps. Last meeting it didn't get brought up because we were also talking about buying a $9 million property at the bridge. We're buying lots of properties. We bought properties on the beach with the county's help, thankfully. We're hopefully buying properties by the bridge to give back to our citizens and tourists and everybody else. And now here we have a possibility to buy 7+ acres. And, I think, me personally, I think we should try to do whatever and anything we can do to buy that property. And in my opinion, if that's the city of Destin going all in and buying it, I bet you we could have the entire city here supporting that decision. Is it expensive? Potentially. It's also from what we understand currently, which more information will be brought to us if we all agree, it's potentially, it's a bank-owned property. It's going up for auction, so the for sale sign isn't necessarily a, local person that's trying to sell it and make money off of it. So there's good potential there. In case you haven't checked your emails today, I think this is the most contact we've received from anybody, at least in my 2.5 years on city council, is about this property. So I know that there's people that want it. I know that there's people that might say it's not the city's job to do something for the school district. Okay, I might hear you when you say that, but it's the city's job to continue finding ways to support the children in this community, the families of this community, the visitors of this community, and everything. And if that means we buy something and work with the school districts, or we buy something and partner with them, then I think we need to figure out a way to do that. So, yeah, that's kind of the background, because I want to make a motion tonight here a little bit to do this, because at the end of the day, they're taking offers, and I think the deadline is next week. And between now and then, we don't have another meeting. And I want to make sure that whoever goes and talks has the full support of council, hopefully, to be able to hopefully secure something temporarily to give us time at the next meeting to maybe make the next decision and so forth. So, yeah, there you go. And I can hold the motion
Well, I
for
appreciate
later.
you bringing that up and
You're welcome.
kinda rah-rahing this up. I'm very excited about this, and like you said, this is a opportunity, generational movement. So with that, Councilwoman Naber, you are up first.
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin, I'm tickled to death that you brought this up, put it on the agenda. I got emails today, phone calls today. A couple people saw me when I was outside trying to cut the grass, hey, you got to get that property. I think it's one of the best things we could do as the city's representatives for our city, our citizens, and our children, those that are here now that need to have schools, that are big enough for them, and the growth that we're going to have. I mean, you both have little people. They're going to be going to school. Look at Johnny's going to have another couple people, and by the time those schools they're going to be full. So I think it's the right thing to do. I support it 100%. I would like to give, get a motion to where we give them authorization to go represent. But I would love it if, the bank would, take our reasoning and why we would need to be the ones to buy it and give us something that would be a worthwhile, not don't rake us over the coals, but make it something that's good for the citizens in the city, and overall, it's the right thing to do. So I'm 100% support, and I'll stand by to see whatever the motion is and what we can do to push it forward. Thanks.
All right, Councilman Guile.
I received 35 emails today in support of this, but out of those 35, only 9 gave an address, so I'm going to say I only received 9 actual verified citizens that want it, but I have 0 that said no for us to move forward on looking at this. The only thing that I would want to know is, 1, where are we getting the money? I mean, we're stagnant. Everybody's afraid to raise the tax, that 0.1%, which is $750,000 annual value, and only an impact of $33 to the community per household. So where's the money coming from? The second is what the intended purpose is. I know the school is planning to build where the ball field's now, so is it just going to be taken over as ball fields for the school moving forward? Is that the purpose of the purchase? Is just to convert it all to ball fields?
Do you want some answers possibly?
Yeah.
Or you just want to throw some discussions out?
Well, these are the things that I'd kind of like to know.
And then they're great. I think they're great questions. And in the short amount of time of the discussions that some of us have had, not together, with those people, the school is planning on expanding already. They have a plan that they're going to expand and they're going to add on. And now, do they need this to do that? Yeah. No, they don't. They don't need it. Could they use it? Yes. They could. Are there other things that they could do as well on top of that? Of course. So what's the purpose? I'm with you. And it's kind of like that property by the bridge. There's all these discussions, but, the school's expanding already. But to be honest, it could be even more of an expansion. And now we have somebody from the school board directly, or school district here as well, in case we need to. They can echo that. But Yeah, hope that answers you, sir.
And answer one, what about where are we getting this money from?
Oh, where are we getting the money from? Why you gotta get so
the
technical
big one.
tonight, Mr. Guile? Jeez, you're raining on the parade. No, I understand. This is the first budget hearing meeting as well, so it's a great conversation. I mean, there's lots of options available. Again, one is a partnership. You know, we have a partner you can split something with, so that money comes from them, money comes from us. We have general funds that are there. Some people like to call them, we need to save them for rainy days. And there's also debt, possibly, that not everybody likes, but, you know, that's option as well, but, you know.
Yeah,
Those are all the things that I'm hoping when a motion's made, that those specifics can hopefully be decided later if we can just put it on hold with the bank for now.
I got you, but those are some pretty big specifics. Yeah, but that's, I'm not saying I'm against it, because 9 people are unanimously for it, but I want to understand what the impact is on the community.
All right. Councilman Destin, the one who has been on the chair before.
Oh, you got left out, Jim?
He's up next, he's up next. The next first thing, see, it's always
Yep.
school
Yeah,
board gets
I'm
Destin.
in support of exploring the possibilities of working with the school district. And I'd point out that whoever made the comment to someone that we had no business doing things for the school district, this is not just for the school district. The track, the fields, those will be gone. I think the latest schedule I saw was spring of 2024, they're going to start on the new addition. And the new addition is actually, if it's still what it was when I was there talking about it, is a pre-K through 3. It's going to be a separate, I would call it even a separate school. So it's going to be like a new school. But to build it, those tracks, the track that we've had there for 30 years, and I don't know if any of you drove by the track this weekend, completely covered with people playing sports. And it is every weekend, anytime the weather's decent. So that would be gone because that's part of the site where they're going to put the school, is my understanding. And so if we go together to purchase the other part, perhaps we could move that over there. It'll just give us a whole lot more options, because when we lose that track and all those ball fields, we're diminishing the ability to do recreation here pretty dramatically. So we certainly don't want to get in the way of the school district building something over there, because they need to do that, and we've encouraged them to do it for a very long time. But if we can go together with them and have the best of both worlds, we should. I suppose we need to see if they have gotten an appraisal. If they do, then that would help us, because we can't go buy property without an appraisal. And if we're in some kind of a time constraint here, that would speed that process up. And we need to make the offer to them that we will go together and try to get the property with them. That would reduce any amount they'd have to spend, and would reduce what we may have to spend too. So, you know, when we get to the motion, then it's going to be to have our staff, city attorney, work with the district to see if they have any interest in going forward, and then we know what to do after that. And the money part we'll have to figure out, but I'm, you know, we can find it if we are motivated enough, I'm sure. It means you spend something on this and not on something over there. And so those are the choices we're here to make.
Exactly. All right. Councilman Bagley.
Yeah, so I only got 32 emails, so I guess I got cut out of the council.
I'm
But
more
of the-
popular.
Of the 32 that I got, 23 of them want it to be used to expand the school, which I understand and I agree with. 7 did not say anything that they just wanted us to buy it. 1 was a no, and 1 wanted us to buy it, but then break it apart and sell it, basically do a leverage buyout here or whatever and make money by selling off parcels. Of course, once you sell the strip that the school, my understanding is the school is only interested in the strip that abuts beach. Once you get rid of that, the whole rest of it's landlocked. So it's not very valuable once the school takes out its thing. But I think I'm not opposed to a partnership with the school. And I would ask who reached out to Superintendent Chambers today?
We had a meeting
Yeah,
last
that was a
week.
week ago, you
Yeah.
and Lance. Who reached out today when we started getting all these emails? Or before this, when we sent out the Facebook message? Who reached out to Marty Gardner today, our school board rep for this area, and said, hey, where are you guys? You know, would y'all partner with us? Would you,
I'm not sure
would
if
you give us some money?
that's a question you want answered, but
Yeah,
nobody
sure.
today, but we've been trying to reach out past few weeks.
Yeah, my last
But the
meeting with them
official
was about
way was to bring it to the
Yeah.
city council to have our attorney and city manager
Okay.
take those actions, hopefully.
So,
But yeah, I mean, did we
what
call
was their
today? Nobody
response?
called today.
Okay, what was their response?
Well, that's
Can we
why
just get him up here?
No, wait a second. He's hoping he doesn't have to speak. Yeah, okay. I'll let, because I did reach out to both of them today, and I did hear back from the superintendent. Okay, and the thing is when you and Lance, my understanding is, when you and Lance met with the superintendent, initially, he wasn't interested, and then he's only interested in that strip that basically runs into beach.
I think
Is that a fair statement?
they were most interested in a partnership with the parking.
Yeah.
Was their most, easy yes, off the bat with no of their commissioners' support or anything from their knowledge, but from our meeting, that was their main interest of partying together.
Yeah. No, I would love to see, I'd love to see the school district just buy it. And then they could put ball fields there and we could have an agreement just like we do for the track now, because I used to walk that track when I lived over on Ridgewood Circle almost every day. And then jog on it when I would take my test. But the question is, and Tori hit the nail on the head. Where's the money coming from? Because we are maxed out on our debt. We had our first budget meeting tonight. Tonight was the night you could say, hey, there's $1 million. Let's move that out of this project and move it over into that project. Now we'll have another budget meeting where you can say, hey, we don't want to do a marina, or we don't want to do this, or we don't want to do that. And now we've got $1 million. If we can get the school district to come in with $3 million, we can buy this parcel. Tonight was the night to, do that, or at least reach out to the superintendent and our school district rep and say, hey, are you in for $3 million? Are you in for $2 million? What are you in for? What do you want to do with it besides parking? And I guess Mr. Horton will come up and, he'll tell us what the superintendent, other than what he told me in the text, that you'd be here, is going to tell us. But we got to pay for it. Everybody wants to do it. This is like most of the things that we deal with up here. Everybody wants to do it. It's a great idea. There's a lot of passion, and I admire the passion. Somebody's got to pay for it. The passion does not feed the kids. The passion just says, yes, we want to do it, and we all want to do it. If we took a vote tonight to say, do you want to do it? It'd be unanimous, okay? Then when it became, do you want to pay for it? Well, I'm not going to vote, me personally, I'm not going to vote for another penny of debt until we get some of this debt paid off. But this is the choices we make. This is why we have a strategic plan, because buying waterfront property is right up there in our strategic plan. Buying school facility land or partnering with school facility land, not anywhere on that sheet. And I brought my little sheet just to make sure. I checked my little plastic laminated sheet today. But if we can do it, that would be great. But that's why we have a strategic plan, to tell the staff, this is where we want to spend our money. And so when we decide that, and that's why we have a budget. When we do the budget, we say this is where we want to spend $70 million. All right? I'm sure we can find $1 million in there where we can say that can wait a couple of years. Unfortunately, that's not in debt service. That's not in paying people's salaries. That's not in, utilities or anything like that. But there are some projects in there that we could say, which one's more important? But you got to identify that money. It's more than just having a passion for, gosh, if we could get this, this would be the greatest thing in the world. If I could have ice cream every night and not weigh 300 pounds before the next meeting, that would be the best thing in the world. Okay, but it's not possible. So I agree with Mr. Guile. Somebody's got to show us where we're going to get the money. Somebody's got to show us a plan. Somebody's got to at least have the school district say, we're in for $3 million. You know, you guys bring $1 million, we'll get this done, and we'll put ball fields and everything else that we should have at an elementary school the size of that elementary school.
Yep.
Thanks.
So with
I'll
that,
defer to Mr.
I think what Kevin was getting at earlier was, this is just a letter of intent to give us time that the bank would, I guess, have for the September 12th when they unveil. This would give us the time to go and do those details. So I guess the meeting.
If you give a letter of intent, they usually require something.
Okay. So Kevin.
Mr. Sweeter, I think, was
Yep,
up
Sweeter
next,
first.
and
Yep. Yeah, and then you're next.
I do want to say that I am in full support of this. I think aside from the budget portion, it wouldn't have been in the strategic plan because it wasn't available at the time. It is now. When I went to Destin Elementary, we were in trailers. Some of those trailers are still there. If the expansion has to happen, and it's going to take away recreation, why do we vote to take away recreation when we want to add more? So this will help with that, and I think that we can come up with different ways to move money or fundraise and do things just like they did with Destin High School. But I am in full support of this, and I really hope that we get it for multiple reasons, also to help with the traffic off of Kelly Street and getting them pulled in the back. But that's it.
All right, now Councilman Schmidt.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a couple comments, then I'll throw out a motion if that's okay, and then they can continue on discussing. But I got one of those little plastic things right here too. And it says the prioritized strategic goals for the city of Destin is to enhance quality of life and safety for families. So I think that covers it right there. Like Mr. Sweeter just said, did we put buying this property on this little sheet? No, we didn't, because there wasn't a for sale sign out there when we had that meeting months and months ago. So and we could change that budget at the next meeting, as Mr. Destin just said, whenever we're going to make lots of changes that we're all going to make. Nobody made a change tonight, but we're going to make changes at the next meeting, because I think we already said that a minute ago. So
Crystal's staring you down right now.
Yeah, I know. Crystal's having a heart attack over there. And can Passion feed kids? Hell yeah, Passion could feed kids. Passion definitely could feed kids. So I'm not sure what that means, Mr. Bagby, because go look in those schools. Go look in the community center on the weekends. Go to the Destin football field on the weekends. The passion that people have that are volunteering their time, energy, sweat, their own money to feed kids, that's passion. So yes, it can be done. And so a lot of these details hopefully will be worked out. All I'm going to ask is I'm going to direct the city attorney and the city manager to work with the school board, to work with the seller and any other stakeholder to negotiate, draft an offer, a letter of intent, or whatever is necessary based upon appraisals and market research to pursue the purchase of 401 Beach Drive.
I'll second that.
All right, and we're still lit up
And
like
we need to
Christmas
give
tree.
them direction for start making all of those calls, and that's why we're doing this tonight, in my opinion.
All right, I got a motion and a second, and we will continue on. Councilman Gao.
Moving in that direction, trying to find money to pay for these things. I know we have lots of little pieces of land spread all throughout Destin. Do we have a list of what of those lands, while we're in this high market turn, that we could potentially divest and utilize that money towards purchasing something like this? Do we have a plan where we can move forward like that, where we're doing basically a land trade-off? We sell one, buy one. Do we have anything like that in place right now?
I believe the next meeting, we're going to see some of those types of things as well. But so
Okay.
I would say, yes, we do. I don't want to speak for all the staff members, but I feel like we do because it was in our agenda this evening partially.
All right. Well, I would like to see that, and if we could find a way that maybe there's a piece of land out there we don't need, some little strip of land that's between somebody's property, and I know exactly the address I'm thinking of. I don't think it's worth $4 million, but maybe there's things out there that aren't as important to the city of Destin that we can divest to make these movements.
Didn't we, refresh my memory, didn't we make a didn't we make an ordinance a couple years ago where we decided not to sell any city property?
With respect to parks.
And you're up as well if you want to keep rolling.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was curious, I wanted to hear from, how does it look as far as, this is a little bit different because as my understanding, and Destin High School is it's a totally different deal. So, I mean, I think that I'm in full support of buying this piece of property. I think there was some conversation about the people came out of the woodworks against the One Harbor Boulevard property, and why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And this is what we should buy. And again, it wasn't available at the time. I think that we should make this a priority, however possible. I just think I lean a little bit, I don't want to say I lean towards Mr. Bagby's opinion, or his approach, but where are we going to get the money? How are we going to find the money? Where can it come from? And how does the development of Destin High School pertain to what we're doing here? I don't think it does all that much. So I think that's kind of a moot point.
All right. Councilman Bagby.
Before I speak, I'd like the school board representative. Before I speak,
come on
I'd
up.
like to hear from the school board representative that if he can hobble up here, and, we're honored to have such a high-ranking school official.
Just push the button.
Good evening, Councilman, Mayor, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak here and hopefully share some information about the school district's plans. And I'll be the one to take the hit for not coming to you earlier last year to share information with you, and I hope to come and do that in the future again. As we're speaking about the addition to Destin Elementary School, so it's been in process for a significant amount of time now in the planning process. Right now, we're in the design and engineering phase, and what I'll share with you, and Mr. Destin, as a former school board member, knows this all well. I can come and speak as myself. The superintendent can make a recommendation to our school board, and then it takes a vote of our school board to have any action involving funding and finance. So what I will say is I think as it relates to this particular addition that's scheduled to be complete December of 25, at this point, and we're still in the design phase, it is planned to be a 32 classroom addition. And with Mr. Destin on the board, we talked about it being a K-2 primary center, but because of the way the current school is constructed and the fact that this new addition is likely to be a two-story addition, it will actually be a 3-5 center. And so it'll be something that the students will grow into. It is going to be located right now on the property that is off of Beach Drive and in between the church and the current school building. We've designed it at this point in time to fit currently in this space that is the school district property. So there's not a need to have the property, and I think that's what we've kind of shared as we've talked to different people, but there's potentially a desire, and so from my perspective, we do two things when we have a two-story 3-5 center there. It minimizes the enclosing on green space at the current campus. I will say, and the current plan does not involve doing anything to the track. That will stay through the construction. So that's good, and it'll keep that space available. But a two-story structure minimizes the green space that we'd be taking. So if there was a situation in which, again, this portion that's out there that's, I think, closing in on 8 acres, I think the superintendent and our desire potentially is for a fraction or a piece of that. Not to necessarily create additional parking, but to, if we are able to slide that building a little bit further, then it would provide more green space. And so we're going to be redoing all the playground area with sunshades and everything. And so where the students right now, some of that area is in the sand, that'll all be redone. It'll be located on the interior of the campus away from the road, which I think is a better environment for the students. So here, just to update you on those particular plans, again, December 25 is when we expect to have occupancy, because it's in the middle of a school year, and we'll work with the school community, and Ms. Meyer, our principal, has put out information to her parents through the newsletter. It probably will be the 26-27 school year before we have the fifth graders who would have, at this point, matriculated to Destin Middle, stay at Destin Elementary. It solves two issues. So Destin Middle is a school that is at capacity, over capacity. So when we can get those fifth grade students back to Destin Elementary and have it returned to a K-5, you've automatically created capacity at Destin Middle. So you're doing one construction project at the school. Destin Middle is one of our newer schools, believe it or not, but it's getting some other items under the half-cent sales tax, but it will also then be better able to adjust to capacity and growth in the Destin area.
So with the half-cent sales tax, you have to go off the list that's provided through the, there was the advocacy board, and then you guys adopted that, and then so everything has to come off that list?
That's correct. Now, this addition to Destin Elementary was not on the half-cent sales tax because it's a large ticket item. But the concept is when you can address all the needs of the schools, roofing, some smaller level classroom additions, cafeterias, where you can address those through the half-cent sales tax where projects are at every school, it frees up our capital dollars that come through us from our property taxes and allows us to bond out amount. So you may have heard we're going to be building a K-8 school in the Crestview area too, where the bypass is going to be there. That's a big need in the north end because of the population there. So that school, this addition that's significant because it's 32 classrooms, there'll also be a multi-purpose building on that property in Destin Elementary. Those two are large, big ticket items, so we would look to put out certificate of participation financing for that. So it's not sales tax revenue per se that's doing that, but I will say because of the sales tax, we've been able to do so many critical things in the district. It gives us more flexibility on our 1.5 mil capital outlay.
Awesome, thank you so much. Anyone got specific questions for that before I keep round robin in?
I just have one quick question for you. So the projected growth, because part of the argument for buying this parcel, and y'all have probably faced it, I know the school district in Walton County has, because when they opened a school that they thought would be good for 5 years, it was already at capacity. And I'm talking about the one down there on 98. When y'all project your growth, and you project to fill these 32 classrooms, when is the next time you project those being completely filled?
So I've been in this business for a long time, and projecting student enrollment is a very slippery proposition. I'll give you an example. We were projecting kindergarten enrollment at Destin Elementary this year to be 200 students. It's 150 students. That's 3 classrooms space difference in enrollment. So then we have to decide, looking at our statistics, is that an anomaly? And we'll be back up to the 180 or 185 per grade level like we've seen historically, or is it a trend? I think options for students and families for education are growing and changing. And so to answer your question, it's an uncertainty, but we will be programming in, we'll also be removing the portables that are currently there.
Yeah.
We'll be programming in probably 8 to 10 empty classrooms for growth at the school. Okay. Which is about all we can reasonably do without overspending.
Okay.
Councilman Destin?
Oh, that wasn't my question, Tom. I just asked
Oh, gotcha. Well, you're on up.
Thanks. That is all the questions I had. I didn't know if anybody else had a question for you or not.
My question was.
Okay. I do have, Mr. King's got a question for him.
Hey, thanks for being here. What would, and you, if you told us this and I didn't hear it, forgive me. What would be, if you had that sliver of land that touches Beach Drive, what would be the intentions for it?
Yes, sir. I think we just had a planning meeting this week, and if that were available, it would probably be, we'd be able to potentially shift the building and everything further, which would allow more space inside of the campus, more green space, more play space, those sorts of things.
Good deal. Do you feel like you're the expert here?
Do I feel like I am? No.
What's that? Well, you said it. I mean, how many hours do you have working, for the school board? So, I mean, or how many years? Do you feel like this is an absolute need for us to have as far as the advancement for Destin Elementary School?
So I think the district has an interest in a portion of that property. And I would say in a community that's growing, it's always good to have a little bit more than not. So I think, and again, the appraisals and all those things have to happen on this property. And I don't know, and if you know, the property kind of looks like the state of Oklahoma reversed. So there's a thicker portion back there. And I think what we've envisioned potentially, as the superintendent might to bring a recommendation to his board, would be would be part of that sliver that abuts to Beach Drive. And if there's other use for that spot out there on the back, there would be access, there'd be a road or access that leads back to that. So that's kind of, my 30,000 look at it over the past couple of weeks. But I don't know that the school board would have an interest in that back portion, if that makes sense. Although it's significantly wider and there's more space back there.
Yep, jump on in.
Yeah, so, and I agree with everything, I would add, at this time, they don't have an
Always.
interest today. But you will agree that once that panhandle piece, the piece that abuts beach, is sliced out, the rest of that acreage in an institutional, has to be used for an institutional use, is landlocked and would be pretty much not worth anything to anybody that wasn't related to that school other than, if we put a lake back there.
No, I don't know if that's the case, sir. I mean, it could be, but I think at the school, from the school district standpoint, there'd be an understanding that there'd be access through some width of a road back to that portion. So if whatever, and again, whatever that piece looks like, someone asked the question, is it an absolute need? It's not a need in the current design of the 3-5 center that we're going to build right now. But as Councilman Bagley said, it's at this time, right? Yeah. But no, that wouldn't be a thought of mine, as it would, to landlock it, it'd be an access.
And from the GS side, there is from Benning an easement in there. I think Corpus Christi has the back side of it, but there is something from Benning that has a very narrow, maybe 20 feet easement between two houses. So again, not necessarily a solution, but there is an easement on that side for, just. Yeah. It seems very walled off, so I think they get the gist of it, but yeah. Councilman Destin, do you have anything?
I would just observe that if we're working together, which hopefully we would, an easement I would think would be part of what we'd work together with. And of course, the object of what we're doing tonight, and I'll get back to the motion, is to explore possibilities. And until this council votes to send somebody to do that, nobody has authority to do that. So that's the point I would make, is what's happened so far. And so if the motion, which I was a little fuzzy on what it is, if it's direct the staff to get together with the school board, the district staff, to see what it is they're interested in doing, then that's a motion that I would fully support. I'm not sure what else was in that motion. And the other question I have for the district is, can you tell us exactly what ball fields or what recreational facilities would be impacted? And I know until you get stamped from your board, you can't tell us that, but you have a pretty good idea, I'm sure. So what are we going to impact that's of a recreational nature out there that we're both sharing?
So the current plan, the track and the field inside the track is unimpacted. I think there's a soccer field out there that'd be unimpacted. I think the baseball field that's closest to the school would be touched. And then I think there's a smaller, other sort of softballish type field that would not be involved at all.
And that's the stuff we need to talk to them about, because it's going to be a percentage of the recreational facilities anyway, and that will drive our decision on whether we should spend that money. So
yeah, because it's basically the playground and the baseball field.
We need to get together and as promptly as we can get those answers. Can you?
Ray, do you have it?
Yeah,
The motion included directing the city manager and I to actually look at appraisals and market, and do some market research, and be authorized to potentially make an offer or do a letter of intent. So I want to clarify that if you all are not good with that, because Jim's shaking his head. You speak now, because that was in there.
Define what a letter of intent is for us.
Well, we would be making an initial type of offer with them after speaking with the school board potentially, if that's what the council wanted, but it would be subject to coming back to council for approval. It wouldn't be binding without that approval.
Yeah, and their banks are okay with that? You guys had conversation?
No, not yet. We'd have to have those conversations, but we wanted direction first before we would do that.
Gotcha, okay. All right, Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, I'm good with getting the appraisal and going and talking to the school board. Thank you, sir. I'm not good with making an offer that we can't pay for. I know it would come back to council.
No, but the only reason it's in there, and I just talked to Kevin about it recently, is because of that September 12th deadline for the initial round of offers. So what they're doing is they're taking offers till September 12th. They're trying to avoid, as I understand it, going to the auction, which I think is the 17th. It's certainly between the 15th and 18th. And so if we want to be in that initial consideration, we would have to do it before the 12th at 3 p.m. If we don't, it may or may not continue from there.
Lewis, you over there? Okay, it's institutional, that parcel, right?
Correct.
Okay. So somebody who was willing to make an offer by the 12th would probably come and do a little bit of due diligence and ask you what they could do in an institutional parcel, wouldn't you think?
Yes.
How many people have
If
come to
they're
you?
smart.
How many people have come to you in the last 2-3 weeks asking you what they could build there?
Nobody has come.
Nobody. Okay, I just want to make sure that.
And the property's deeded for.
Yeah, there's, my guess is.
There's a deed restriction listed online that tells you exactly what can be what can happen there. So there would be no need to go speak with Lewis because it's very clear.
Yeah,
But
there would.
No, because it's loud and clear, the deed restriction, I think real estate, Mr. King could probably answer that. But also it says exactly what can be done there. What we have done is we do know from the diocese, the Catholic Church, they will release that deed restriction to allow certain things like we're wanting to do there. So just because nobody called Lewis, I don't think that really clears up. But.
Yeah, and Johnny might disagree, but I can tell you as a realtor, before I spend $4 million, I'm going to do my due diligence if nothing else, to confirm the deed restriction, that there are no other restrictions on that piece of property. So, I mean, I hear you, but I don't think, it's not like we're lining up with 20 other people to fight for this piece of property. And, that's why I'm good going to talk to the school. I'm going and getting an appraisal and doing all that. You start to lose me when we start making offers, even though I know they do have to come back to the council because, having seen councils operate before, we make an offer for $4 million and we don't have $4 million, but we pack this room with 200 people. We're probably going to approve it, and then we're just going to start cutting, staff or cutting vehicles or cutting whatever it is we got to cut to go find $4 million. And that's not a good plan. I'm just saying we can do this better or smarter. That's all I'm saying. But I agree. We should be part of buying this parcel with the school board.
All right, Councilman Destin?
I was just, Mr. Horton, do you guys have an appraisal at all?
Not in hand.
You have one underway? What's
good.
Time frame?
Possibly next week. Possibly end of next week.
Well, then that would suffice for us too, I would think.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. The only thing I'd add to that, when the motion was, for all parties outside as well, I know going and joining them this summer, the Boys and Girls Clubs out of the elementary school, and I've talked to their CEO, and he said if he had a magic wand, it would be the biggest need in his district is Destin. So, maybe there's an opportunity for someone to build the building and have a 50-plus year lease on it or go somewhere of that round. So, there's definitely more than hopefully two partners. Hopefully there's at least a third partner in here. And so I just throw it out there for food for thought. And as we kind of talk about this, I know the Boys and Girls Club are very interested in this, and they have some potential donors already identified that would be very willing to contribute to a project that has the Boys and Girls Club mission at the base of it. And not having kids and being in this position, I think the biggest thing I've learned is how much of a child care network that we're missing in Destin that we need. Yeah. So I would be in favor. Again, this is not the time to be casting the vision of what the property is, but it'd be my hopes that we could partner and at least knock out 2, maybe 3 critical needs in the community. And so just thinking on the terms of positivity between all 3 of us of public, private, and potentially even nonprofit, I think there's a good way to make this happen for everyone. So that's just my kind of last take on it all. And seeing no further discussions, I will.
Mayor?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Can
I'd
I
be happy
read-
to read it for you if you
Can
want.
I read what I have originally, and then Councilmember Smith can either add or subtract to it? Okay, direct the city manager and city attorney to work with the school board, gauge their intent about a possible partnership, submit a letter of intent, negotiate, explore the possibility of obtaining 401 Beach Drive.
Okay, everyone, Kevin first, you good with that?
Yeah.
The only
Button.
like Mr. Bagby, the letter of intent makes me a little, if the motion would take that out and go with the other two, then I would fully support it.
So my only concern with that is, based on the conversations we've had, I think they're gonna need something, right? So if we tell them to go talk to the school board, and then they get the school board, which I don't even know if they'll be able to do that in the next 48 hours because they might not have a school board meeting, so it's the school board that has to make those decisions, like you probably know. And then if there's offers due on Tuesday, and all we're going to them with is a verbal agreement from a deputy superintendent and a superintendent that says we think this will work, I think we're missing something. And I think a letter of intent, if it doesn't bind us, what's the problem with it?
The letter of intent, it won't have a number, it will have a number, Kim?
I mean, this is up to the council, but typically it would have a number. That would be,
My intentions were based upon their appraisals and comps for the
Right,
property
and-
to be able to give
and-
them that leniency.
Until we get the appraisal that they may be getting, how could we even do that?
Well, I hear you, and that's why I said appraisals, market research, and comps. So if you want it to be specifically only an appraisal, then we might have to change that. But I'm trying to, I hear what some of us are saying up here. If we played that game all the time over the past 20, 30 years, however many times different people have been up here, somebody might buy that thing on Tuesday. And then after Tuesday, dang it, we're talking about missing it. And maybe nobody will buy it Tuesday. But I just, I'm trying to give them a window of opportunity to give us the best opportunity as well when we come to this next meeting at City Council.
And I get that part. Are we allowed by law as a municipality to make an offer without an appraisal that's in the $4 million range?
we couldn't do a binding offer without an appraisal. We might be able to do, perhaps hearing the concerns, I don't know if this will work out. We're dealing with the Canadian Bankruptcy Court, which frankly, I've never dealt with the Canadian Bankruptcy Court before. I don't know if anyone here has, but I looked at the realtors. But I'll say this, I can, if we don't want to give a number, and it's up to you, if the council doesn't want to give a number, I can say to them, look, we don't have a formal offer yet. We're talking with the school. We need a little more time. They don't have to listen to us. They can go with, if somebody else has a better offer, they can go with them. They can wait on us or not. Is there a risk of losing it at that point? Yeah, you're weighing that risk. If you don't think it's great and we're not sure yet, we can just explain the situation to them. It's up to the council if you want me to give them a number or not.
And can you, in fact, make an offer, a number, pending appropriate support from an appraisal?
Yeah. I think we could, and it's up to them if they want to accept it or not. They may say, that's not firm enough for us, and that's up to them, but we can offer it.
Councilman Guile?
I just sat here and I Googled it and I found the ad, and I think something council should be aware is they are advertising this as it already comes with fully architectural plans for a 3-story building with planned senior housing units, memory care units. So somebody's already out there performed and are advertising this as that it's already been predetermined to do some type of building with. So if we're serious about this, I think we should move forward with, in my opinion, Kevin's plan, just so that we can get a good idea for what we can do for the public. But if it's September 19th and we're afraid we're not going to have a say between then, I don't see why we can't do some type of special call-in summary or something where we can't all just have a meeting Monday and disclose the information and make a decision then. Is there anything that would prevent that other than schedules or timing or
Monday?
this coming up Monday
Before
the
the 12th.
11th?
I don't think we'll have the appraisal before this Monday, according to what Mr. Horton said.
September 19th is next month, following month.
Yeah, so the offers are due this Tuesday, and then the auction would be the following week.
Okay, I got you. So we
When I
won't
say
have-
the offers are due, the first round of offers are due if they may or may not accept one. And then after that, there may be an auction on the 17th if they do not accept an offer in the initial round, as I understand it. And I will say there is a deed restriction that the Catholic Diocese put on that property for the elderly home. But as I understand it, if the school or a governmental entity was interested in the property, they might remove that. So that would have to be a part of it for us as well, of course.
All right. Councilman Sweetser.
So if we don't move on this fast, I foresee what's going to happen here, and I think it's going to create a bigger problem. It'll be more townhomes or something of that nature.
No.
No. That's not an institutional. Stop, don't scare people. That's not an institutional use, that's why I brought that up.
But land uses can be changed, is where I'm going.
It's a deed restriction on this. It's like coveted.
Very, very, very difficult. Yes.
Anything's possible.
Okay, may I finish, or are we going to?
Jump in.
Thank you. This is an elementary school. I mean, I know that I don't want my nieces and nephews out there playing and strangers staring down at them. God knows what they could throw, things like that. There's no telling what could eventually happen there. It just needs to be part of the school. I think we should all support it and move forward as fast as we can.
All right.
So before someone else like this comes in and grabs it before us.
Councilman Bagby, final thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, I got a bunch of thoughts, but.
You got 2 minutes before 7.
No, I got it. I gotta make you go over. No, and I apologize for interrupting you, but, you know, we saw this with the Harbor One parcel with people scaring, there's gonna be a car wash, or there's gonna be another Emerald Grand, or there's gonna be, and we owe it to people to at least provide accurate information to the best of our ability from here. And an institutional use will not allow townhomes, or will not allow, apartments, or any of those other things. So once that gets out on Facebook, people just start burning up freaking out with their hair on fire. It's going to be an institutional use. As long as you and I and everybody else probably up here is here, it's going to be an institutional use. But yes, in theory, 4 of us could change that. I'm probably where Mr. Destin is. I want an appraisal. I want to see, before we put a number to paper, what the value is. I want the school district to be part. If the Boys and Girls Club wants to be part, I think that's great. You know, if there are other NGOs that want to be part, or 501c3s, I'm okay with that. But we cannot afford to do this by ourselves. And we cannot afford to obligate the citizens to pay for this by ourselves. The school board, I checked their financials today. Their last report, I think they had $40 million. Now, some of it is dedicated in their reserves, but, you know, for different pots and stuff. I want to say $169 million budget for the coming year, somewhere in that neighborhood, as opposed to our little budget, you know. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, 240. You're right. It was 169 was left. Anyway, we need a partner. We need a big partner, and the school board is that partner. And they, I think, have an interest in that land, and I think they share an interest of adequate facilities for the kids. You know, they're just as concerned about the kids as we are. So as long as we get an appraisal and there's not a letter of intent with a number on it, I'm okay. But if we start talking letters of intent and offers and numbers, then we kind of get ourselves blocked in, and we're going to end up in a bad place in my mind. But I'm in support of us pursuing getting more information.
All right, seeing no further discussions, does anyone need a refresher on the motion? Ray, one more time from the top.
Direct the city manager and city attorney to work with the school board, gauge their intent about a possible partnership, submit a letter of intent, negotiate, explore the possibility of obtaining 401 Beach Drive.
Button. Yeah, Kim, how do you want to phrase that?
I take it acquire an appraisal either with the school board or by ourselves, hopefully with the school board, is part of the motion.
It is part of the motion. It's not a requirement of the motion, but I'm understanding from council that you want the appraisal. So my only question would be, just to clarify the council intent, is if we do not have an appraisal by the 12th at 3 p.m., you would like me to take no action, or would you just like me to explain to them the situation that we're waiting on an appraisal, pretty much?
Can't you put in the letter pending appraisal?
That would require me to make an offer pending an appraisal, but I'm understanding we don't want to give a number yet, so that's the question.
Without an appraisal, I don't know how we make an offer.
Yeah, well.
I mean, other than
But-
asking price.
Yeah.
No.
Well, just to what you're asking though, because I'm confused now. I thought I just heard we can write a letter of intent that says based upon an appraisal.
Yeah.
Or
No, we
it
can.
doesn't have to does it have to actually have a number on the letter of intent, you think?
Not from our perspective, from theirs it may, but
So-
I will do the best I can with what council wants me to do. If we don't have an appraisal yet, we'll tell them when we get it. You'll hear from us again if you don't have a contract
So
pending.
we're okay with a letter of intent being written even without an appraisal? I'm just,
As long as we're saying it's contingent upon the appraisal and they understand that it's in the works, they would be fools not to go along, but there are plenty of those around.
is that good?
Understand it. I will talk to the, Lance and I will talk with the school. We will talk with the seller's representative. We will let them know that we're interested in the property. We're not going to make a formal monetary offer until we receive an appraisal, but we do have one ordered, or at least the school board does. And once we get that, you will hear from us again.
Do we know what they want? Have we got what their price is?
The suggested price is $4 million, and I say that because it's a Canadian bankruptcy court. They can't call it an asking price, I have learned. So that is the suggested dollar amount, but it's negotiable as I understand it.
Okay, all right.
That I do not know.
Just to make sure.
Sounds like someone in the audience knows. Can you come up?
Thanks for being here, Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay Howard.
Address.
So.
Your address.
772 Bayou Drive. In 2015 or 16, the property was purchased for about 1.68, something like that. That's all
As I was trying to do my research.
And was it purchased, and do you know the details behind that? It just sat there, purchased, and nothing happened?
Get that information for you, but
Their plan was to open up a senior citizens property there for many years now. That's been the plan. This is a Canadian portfolio company that has multiple properties. One, it's actually, the bankruptcy is a part of a portfolio. One property is in Central Florida, one's up here, but they can also be separated. So their plan was to do that. I don't think none of us at this point know why they're not doing it. We can all speculate, but they're going into bankruptcy, so they're not doing it anymore. And that's why the plans are available online as well, because they're trying to make it as easy as possible for somebody to come buy it. Like you said, Mr. Gow.
Do you know if this purchase for $1,690,000 was for the whole portfolio or just this piece of property?
I would assume based on the property appraiser's site that that's just for that parcel. Mr. Bagby might know more as well about that, the property appraiser. But I can't answer you honestly.
And like the Harbor One property, I don't think, to me, it doesn't matter. So I really don't care. I just was splitting hairs
Well, at
with
this
the rest
rate,
of us.
we need to just vote and give Kim the authorization to go with Lance and start making things happen, right?
All right, I'm going to call the vote.
I'm sorry, subject to appraisal, no number in the letter. Okay, thank you.
Call the vote.
I hate to be difficult, Mr. Bagby, but I like to. I want to make sure that we're all clear. What you said, subject to an appraisal. What are you thinking that mean? What's subject to an appraisal? Her, Mr. and Lance to write a letter of intent? That's wrong. They can write that letter of intent, and inside that letter of intent can specify subject to appraisal. I just want to be clear. That's what we all agreed upon a minute ago. That's fine. Just want to make sure I don't want any.
No number.
Well, I'm trying to be, clear for the record here.
All right, ayes have it, so moved. All right.
And besides that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I had to know.
That's it? Oh, man.
That's all you got?
Man, my over-under
Come
is
on.
busted because of this.
Well, I'm sorry, but I have a follow-up question on
course
this
we do.
subject. Just really quick. So, assuming that it sounds like the school board wants to partner, and we are before the auction, what am I doing if I get the appraisal and we don't have a council meeting in between? Are we calling a special meeting? Okay, just making sure. I didn't want anyone to be upset. I'm going to add a meeting to their calendars potentially.
A lot of that would depend on the school board.
I indicated if the
Do
school board
y'all,
wanted
do
to.
y'all have a school board meeting between now and the 19th? I'm sorry. Marcus said make sure you get plenty of exercise tonight.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things, and this is, Mr. Dess may remember this, for the school board to purchase something, real property, over $100,000, we actually have 2 appraisals that we get. So we've only ordered one for the purpose of just investigating, probably like this council's doing. I don't see any issue with sharing the results of that since we're not buying from you directly. However, we do have that. So we have our board meetings every 2 weeks. We have a board meeting coming up Monday night, which I don't think is too soon to take any real action. And beyond that, it's 2 weeks, Monday, 2 weeks from then. So I think until the board gets two appraisals, and again, if there's a portion of this property, then it'd have to be kind of subdivided, and if there's an acreage, per acre amount or something, I think there's still work to do on the school board side of things to get a proper value established if, in fact, we were going to bring the recommendation to take a portion of that property. So I don't want you to get the impression it's going to happen Monday night or a week from you. I understand that, but it is a process. It's a little bit more involved. But I'm here tonight to express the fact that there is an interest from the superintendent's perspective about a portion of that property.
Yeah, so I believe we have a requirement to have 2 appraisals also. And so I will make a motion that we direct the city manager to obtain an appraisal on this parcel as that can be used as the second appraisal for both the school board and the city of Destin.
Second.
Further discussions? Seeing none. What else you need from us?
I am at your beck and call whenever you need me to be here. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
ayes have that. Everyone good to go now?
Since we already have the plans, we could also call the villages and see if they want to partner up and put another little villages in.
All right. So the only thing I was going to bring up, and we kind of are talking about it already, the Park Foundation workshop. I know this thing's been decades in the making. And speaking of, I know that's something that our city manager is really passionate about. So I just wanted to see if there was any guidance, honestly, from some people that have been up here and might have heard about this, potentially where should we start. This is my only time to talk to you guys. So with that, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah. I'll make the motion that we proceed with establishing a park foundation. And as I believe I discussed with the staff, I see this issue and the previous issue as one and the same issue.
Exactly.
Because the way a possible way that I thought that we could fund sports fields would be through the park foundation, so that then their revenue stream of leasing out or leasing back to the school or leasing out to the football league or whatever would pay for our port, kind of like a CRA pays for it. It's kind of the same way. I don't think it would pay the whole thing. That's why I would love, oh, Mr. Horton's going, I'd love to see the school pay about 3/4 of that $4 million, if it is $4 million. But I will make a motion that we proceed with the investigating or direct the city manager to proceed with establishing a park foundation and have him and Lisa bring that back to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do I have a second before
Second.
discussion? All right, Councilman Destin.
Just so, and I'm sure we're going to get to it, the Park Foundation will do what? They can apply for grants, and this is state law, federal law, what? Under what do we form it?
So I don't put my boot in my mouth.
Yeah, they can apply for grants, they can receive grants, they can also receive cash donations, property donations, other types of assets that the city can't receive and give that tax-free benefit or tax exempt.
I think it gives us another negotiation tool plus a lot of tax benefits.
It becomes like a 501c3 for the city.
Yes.
Think of it. It's kind of like, you know how Northwest Florida State College has the Board of Trustees and has a foundation, and the foundation raises exact same
Yep.
workup.
And we sat down with their staff to kind of get their initial thoughts and perspective and gave us some different ideas as well. So we're kind of working with them to see how that partnership best fits from a government side agency to a nonprofit agency and the gaps it can cover in between. All right, so seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. All right, ayes have it, so moved. City Attorney, Ms. Kopp.
Have anything? Thank you.
All right, public comments. All right, yes.
Come on up, Ms. Vandy. Turn the timer on. 3 minutes. And go.
Name and address.
Vandy Vella, 151 Calhoun Avenue, Destin, Florida. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I've been a citizen of Destin since 2008. I couldn't say how proud I am of this city. When you're looking to make a decision, go forward, look back. You guys have made some incredible strides. I'll never forget the BP oil spill, Okaloosa County, saying no to the federal government. That's what's visionaries in this city. I have listened to Councilman Destin at Destin Forward Talks. I know there's a lot of vision here. Vision that I just recently saw with the Captain Leonard Destin Park on my street, Calhoun, now set aside for not just me, but my kids and my grandkids. Thank you. Thank you. There's enough vision, intelligence, talent in this room. You can have that appraisal back by tomorrow. I want to let you know that I'm an educator by trade, national board certified teacher. When I heard you were discussing 401 Beach Drive, I'm here. I want you to know, Councilman Bagby, I appreciate your prudence, but I'm going to let you know that this council has been prudent. We haven't had a millage increase since 2016. I would vote for one myself. I'll contribute to the Parks Foundation because I'm about that elementary school. You see, as a teacher, there's something called the hidden curriculum. You've got a curriculum that hits on the paper, but when a kid goes up to their school, the building itself says value to them. This community has always invested in our kids. I can't thank you for the park that you're partnering with Okaloosa County. The recent Harbor Park, Gateway to the Harbor. So I am 100% confident that this council, this mayor, Lance and his staff, you guys got this. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed, passionate, and I'm passionate, citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. This is the world's luckiest fishing village. Lucky to have nonprofits, business community, educated citizens, and government. We got this, folks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, anyone else going to follow that up? Yes, Jay.
Jay Howard again. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that if there was any opportunity to partner with like another private entity that may have an interest in the property, if that needs to be a part of the motion for the attorney to be able to explore those ideas as well, because there may be very well be an interest between the Boys and Girls Club or another private entity. So I want to make sure that they're not excluded from that process. Okay.
I'm good, yeah. I'll make sure that I bring that information back to council.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, anyone else? Seeing none, the next thing is this meeting is adjourned.